Hello, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Tasarruf and I welcome you to Hidayah TV on the Light of Hidayah. Today I have with me a guest called Gary Petty, and basically we're going to talk about how affects in Gambia with children that are very poor over there, that are Muslim children. But Gary, being non-Muslim, actually goes out there every year, several times a year, to help these children. And I thought it would be really good and interesting for you to see how a non-Muslim, how it affects his life, going out and supporting Muslim children out there in Gambia. So I'd like to welcome you on the show today.
Thank you, yes.
It's really good that you've come today.
My pleasure.
And obviously I know the work that you do in Gambia, and I would like you to just summarise what you do to obviously to tell the people out there what you like to do over there in Gambia.
Okay, fine, yes. Well, this all started about 14 years ago.
Okay.
I went over on holiday,
MashaAllah.
and just as a normal tourist, seen the sights, realised how poor it was. When you go down the back streets, you don't see the touristy things. Well, my wife had a couple of blouses made in the market, and the next day the lady delivered them to the hotel, and she brought with her a little son, 5-year-old son,
Okay.
Amadou, and we were just sitting there having a drink, chatting, and she suddenly said, "Would you like to sponsor my son for schooling?" Now, we'd never even thought about anything like that, didn't know how to do it, what to do, or anything. So we said, well, let's go along to the school and meet the headmistress and whatever. So we were invited a couple of days later. We went across there, and like I say, we met the headmistress, we met the school teacher, and we were very impressed by what we saw.
So basically it was the people of Gambia that approached yourself?
Well, yes,
basically.
really, yes. They opened our eyes
Okay.
to start with.
So
sort of,
when you saw the little boy and you went to the schools and you saw the situation and it opened your eyes up, obviously you would have known that the children are primarily Muslim.
yes,
in Gambia.
yeah, and you're 90% Muslim.
Yeah,
yes.
and you started this, and I know you've approached myself, and we're sponsoring some children with
Yes,
yourself
a
as
couple
well.
over there, yeah.
It's not a great deal of money. It's only a small amount of money, but could you tell me what impact it has on their life?
Oh, tremendous. Boys tend to have always been able to go to school. Girls, only in the last 10 years or so, have been able and encouraged to go to school. Due to the culture, the girls have to stay at home with mum and do all the work, and the boys were sent off to school.
How do you feel because you go a few times a year to?
I go once a year, but for about between 8 and 10 weeks.
So for quite some
for
time.
quite some time, yes.
And when you're staying there, obviously you're living with the Muslims and
Yes.
you're eating with the Muslims
Yes.
and you're seeing them on a daily basis.
Definitely.
How do you feel that how they interact with you, and how do you feel when you're with them?
Best friends. Religion never comes into it, never a thought. Obviously I respect their religion. Prayer day Fridays, we never arrange anything because they have
They're
their
at the
priorities. They're at the mosque. I have been invited to festivals. They call it Tabaski.
Okay.
I've been there. I've been presented with many goats for the work that I do.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, it's nice how when you're there you become like them and you
Yes,
eat with them
yeah,
and you
yeah.
eat their food.
Yes, we all sit at the same bowl.
And yes, and that shows that you're all brothers and sisters and
Exactly.
you're all eating together.
Yes.
And I know that it's part of your life now.
It is. Oh, definitely. Yes.
You know, and it's good for our viewers to see that how a non-Muslim can feel so passionate about his Muslim brothers and sisters over in a different country,
Yes,
a different a different culture, different religion, but yet you feel it's part of your life.
Oh, I couldn't live without it now.
Okay.
They're my brothers, my sisters, my sons, my dads. We're all one big family.
One big family.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
and they don't see you differently because you're not Muslim.
No,
you've never
not at
had
all.
that.
Never had a problem. Never.
Can you talk to me about the little girl that they found some years back where she was 3 weeks old?
Again, I think it was about our first year we were over there, maybe the second year. Second year, I think. We went on a visit to the orphanage, and we were taken through, and there was a little tiny baby in the cot, and I found out she was 3 weeks old and she'd been found thrown away down a toilet. Obviously there was a family problem or something,
Yes.
and she was just got rid of. Somebody found her, lucky enough, and sent her off to the orphanage. And she was named Sophie, and we go and visit her every year. And every year I take a photograph, and in a couple of years' time, when she's 16, I'm going to present her with a photograph album of every year of her life. I think she enjoys our visits to them. We go and visit them in the house in the orphanage. There's 8 children living in the house.
Has she stayed in that orphanage?
She stayed in the orphanage. She's never been adopted. She's never obviously known a family or anything. The orphanage is her family. In the orphanage, they're in houses of 8.
Okay.
And the children in that house can range from 2 or 3 up till they're 16 for girls and 14 for boys, and then they moved on to a different part of the orphanage.
Right, okay. And say if you didn't go one year, how do you think they would react, and how would you feel if you couldn't go for a year?
Oh, I'd hate it. I think my phone would be red hot with people saying, "Where are you? Where are you?"
They'd be worried
know
about
exactly
you.
I'm there, so they'd be worried. They know I go sort of sometime in January, and well, I hope they look forward to seeing me. But I obviously take lots of gifts and presents, and I also send over at least twice a year. I send over goods in a container. Last Sunday I just sent over 34 boxes.
And you did that out of your own...
Out my own pocket.
Out your own
Yes, yeah,
pocket.
because this year has been a bad year for fundraising for me. So.
But you've done that out of your own pocket. You're not a big worldwide charity. You're just a family that's gone over on a holiday.
Yes.
You've seen that they needed your help. You've seen how Muslims over there are living. And unfortunately, in many countries, we're in the same situation.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But you've seen it yourself, and it's not put you off thinking, well, they're Muslims or they're Africans and I don't want to help them. You've embraced it and made them your family.
Definitely, definitely.
And I feel that, you know, that's the compassion of how a Muslim should be, you know. And I think meeting yourself, it's brought back that, you know, this is what us Muslims are educated from a very young age to be like, is to help our brothers and sisters. And you're doing that, and you're teaching them, sending them to school, making sure that they have an education so that they can provide for the family.
Exactly. Well, you know, we started off with that one boy, and when I came back that first year and told people what I'd done, 2 or 3 people said, "Oh, I would like to do that," because, you know, it's less than the price of a meal out for 2 people.
Yeah.
And it has grown, and we now sponsor 40 children.
MashaAllah, that was my...
including, you know, the couple that you sponsor as well.
Yes.
And by doing that, it's also making other people in the UK aware of what is going on.
Yeah, and
even
it's a
my
place
cousin
you can visit as well.
Well, yeah, because my cousin sponsors 2 children, and she actually does them in the name of her godchildren who live in South Africa.
Okay.
So they know all about what's going on further up country in, you know, West Africa, where the Gambia is.
Okay.
So it is sort of spreading around, and the little bit of fundraising that I do manage to do, I've done a fair amount there. I've built a school with the help of another charity, a 6 classroom school, which was attached to a nursery, a primary school. I've had all the furniture made for it, and I use local people over there to make all this stuff for me, so that it helps their economy as well. I don't sort of ship it out from UK. I use the local tradesmen. I put toilets in a couple of schools. I'm now working with a school out in the provinces, which is quite a way away, and I've repaired their well for them. I've fenced. The first year I fenced their garden because they'd had a bushfire, and it was a wooden fence at the time, burnt it all down so all the animals could get in, they ate all the crops, so nothing could be grown. I've now had that a wire fence, but this last year, through my Rotary Club, I'm a Rotarian as well, they have actually paid to have the wall built around the whole school, a 10-foot high wall all the way around, which protects it from the bushfires and it protects it from the animals. They're now growing enough food to be able to feed the children at least once a week through the dry season. So, you know, they're being self-sufficient. Really. So I'm doing some solar work there this year, but most of my work is done through Rotary. The money I raise myself through doing community events, that does other smaller projects.
Yeah. I mean, what really touched me, and the reason that I wanted you to come on Hidayah TV today is because I know Hidayah TV is very into what the community is doing and how we can all help one another, because we're all brothers and sisters and we're all here on this earth to help each other. Our religion as being Muslims is to give for charity and is to support all the community. And I just found it really heartwarming, and I felt warm inside after hearing that you've gone there for a holiday, you've not gone there to think about charity, you know, it's not something that you planned. You've gone there, you've seen it, and it's touched you.
Definitely.
And because it's touched you, and when I was talking to you last week, you said they're my family. And for me, you know, that taught me a lot as well. I'm a Muslim, and for us, you know, all Muslims are brothers and sisters, but we get up in our own divisions and we find negativity between each other to try and stop us from doing some good. And I mean, you live in Blackpool.
Yes.
And Blackpool's quite a lot of racial elements in Blackpool.
Yes.
You know,
and more and more. Yes.
And the more on media that you see about Muslims are doing this and Muslims are doing that, it's quite hard to live as a Muslim. And then for you to still have that inside you to, well, no, I'm going to collect for these people, I'm going to go over there. You know, I can see from the pictures that I've seen where you're holding the babies and how you feel towards the babies. And for me, that just shows that, you know, one member of the world in the UK and one in Gambia, and how your worlds apart in culture, in language, in religion, but really you're not.
No, not at all. No.
You know, you're there, and that baby that you'll be holding, you know, you'll be holding it like you'll be holding your grandchild maybe.
Oh, exactly, yes, yeah, I love them all. Yes, yeah.
You know, and I just, you know, I thought it was really important that, you know, we need to spread this, that, you know, we're all one ummah. You know, our Prophet ﷺ said that we're all one ummah. And one of the most important things is Iqra, which is education, that's what you're doing.
I'm primarily in education.
And when you said, you know, when I learned that it's about schools and education, and then obviously I thought, yeah, you know, our religion says Iqra, you know, it's really important, because with education, that's how you can win battles with your pen.
It's the future.
You know, it's educating them to integrate and to make them be sustainable. But then obviously I've seen other things that you're doing well.
Yes.
You know, giving people water saves their lives.
Yes.
You know, and then you told me about the little 3-week-old baby. Now, you know, she's a teenager.
She is. Yes. Yeah. She's a lovely little girl now.
And without that support and without people actually caring for her, that might not even be from that country, that religion, she would have been dead.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
You know.
Definitely.
So for me, you know, I'm really proud and happy that you've come on today.
I'm more than happy.
And I just want people to know out there that, you know, we need to integrate. We need to get away from if he's a Muslim or if he's not a Muslim. We need to get away with all of this and go back to what our Prophet taught us, which was loving all of humanity.
Yes.
Saving all of humanity.
I know when there's been problems throughout the world and these awful things have happened, the first people on the phone to me are my friends in Gambia, and apologising, but I say I realise it's nothing to do with a true Muslim. You know, they feel guilty that I'm going to sort of go away from them because of what these other people are doing. But I said, no, my heart is still with you. I will never leave you.
Because you've seen the true Islam. You've seen them. I mean, true Islam you can only see when you actually go and stay with people,
live with them, yes,
and live with them, and then you can see how their daily life is, so how they get up, how they eat, how they wash, how they pray.
Yes.
And what you see on media and the newspapers isn't always what's actually happening over there.
I don't just stay in the holiday area. I'm now sort of, as I say, I'm travelling to this school, which is sort of 4 or 5 hour drive away, and it's way away. And I've been going there for 4 years now, and we stay there for 3 days at a time, 3 or 4 days at a time. And whenever I'm going there, I'm always met about a mile away, and all the children are there and they're clapping and escorting me back to the village, and then I'm paraded through the village with all the elders. I'm a VIP. Well, actually, you know, they treat me like a king, and it's very embarrassing and humbling. And I found out after my trip that time that I was actually the first white person that had ever stayed in the village. I lived with them. They'd had white people pass through and been there for an hour or two and gone, and that's it.
But you lived with them
I
as
live with them
how
as
they live.
as they live. Yes, I eat their food. My daily routine is the same as theirs, apart from they disappear off to pray. But I leave them to do that.
Yes.
I have my own thoughts, but
Well,
we've just got to respect each
We've
other.
got to respect each other, and at the end of the day, there's only one God. You know,
yes.
Muslims say it's Allah, but there's only one God. And what you're doing is you're showing people how to be a good human being. And obviously, we've got to be good human beings to follow a religion. And I think
Yes.
people emphasise on calling each other names and finding out people's negativity rather than actually finding the positives.
No, no.
And I think you've gone and you found the positives within this culture and this community and this religion. And you know, and obviously it's easy for me to talk to you as a Muslim because I know that you respect Muslims because you've lived with Muslims and you
Yes.
know how Muslims are.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and for me, it's you know very, very touching. And I think our viewers out there as well will be warmed by this. That look, you know, I don't want to say it in a negative way. I'm saying it in a positive way. You're a white English man that's probably never thought about Muslims and Africans before this.
Wouldn't have done, no.
And you've gone to a country, gone for a holiday to relax, and it's changed your life.
Oh, it definitely has. You know, I'll just say, you know, this was not long after we bought our hotel in Blackpool, and I'd retired from military life, etc. And our thoughts were that we would go and start travelling and seeing the world and go to all these different places for holidays.
And you got stuck in Gambia.
And we went to Gambia, and we've never been anywhere else.
Yeah.
For the last 14 years, every year it's Gambia. It's sort of, it takes a hold.
Yeah.
You know, I carry Gambia with me all the time with my silver bracelet I had made over there. And people ask me about it, and I can explain about it as well.
You also said that when you're over there and the work that you do, you try and use locals.
Local tradesmen.
Why?
Yes.
Why do you think that's important?
Because they have to feed their family. By us sponsoring these children, releases a little bit of family money to enable them to feed themselves. You know, quite often the family have the choice to go to school or do we eat.
So obviously you're going to eat.
By us sponsoring them, it enables them
eat and
to
educate
release.
at the
Yes,
same
because
time.
there's very little industry over there for people to be able to work. Sometimes it's only during the holiday tourist season when they could work for 4 or 5 months of the year. The average monthly wage is about £20 for a month.
For a month.
And a sack of rice costs about £20. So literally they're working all month. If one person in the family is lucky enough to work, they're working all month to buy the sack of rice to feed their family for the month. But then you've got to grow things to be able to supplement that rice.
Yes.
They've got transport costs. It is very, very hard
very
for them
hard.
out them. Very hard.
Very hard. You were saying also many times they've called you and they've not got rice and you've
I've
just
sent money over
just
all through the
yeah.
year. Yes, yeah. Help Gary. Yeah, sort of. We're in a bit of a problem, and I know they wouldn't ask
If
unless
they
they were
didn't need
desperate. If they didn't need it, they would not. They wouldn't, for the sake of doing it, or to be lazy or anything like that. I know there is a real need for it, and you know, throughout the year, I send bits and pieces over.
Yeah. When you're over there, do you ever think of back home, back England, or are you just so engrossed in the...
If I'm in Gambia, I'm in Gambia.
You're in Gambia. And when you're over here, are you waiting for the next time you're going back
definitely.
over?
I've got 8 weeks and 3 days to go.
All right, so you're counting down.
I'm on the countdown now.
All right,
yes.
okay. And obviously when you go there, I know that they'll be counting down to see you as well because,
Yes.
like I say, you're part of their family.
Yes.
And it's so nice when a family member comes to visit you. But you're a special family member because it's not through blood ties,
No.
it's just through love,
It is, yeah.
you know, and all religions should promote love, and especially Muslims, we promote love for one another, respect for one another. I mean, our Prophet ﷺ said, if you save one person, you're saving all of humanity. And if you take one person's life, you're killing all of humanity.
Yes, yeah.
It doesn't say if you're a Muslim or what kind of Muslim you are, or if you're a Christian. It says one person, and you're going there as a non-Muslim, and you're saving their lives because it might be just a bag of rice,
Yeah.
But if they're not eating, how long are they going to last?
They're not going to survive
they're not
at
going
all.
to survive.
No,
and
no.
I've seen some of the pictures of the children, and they're very, very slim and very skinny, and all the
there's
bones.
no meat to them at all.
No.
No.
So they're just barely living.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, I had a friend, one of my friends who'd done a lot of work for me, does a lot of work for me over there. He was being with us during the day, and I said, "Would you like to come to eat with us tonight?" Because occasionally we take them to eat, in our restaurants. And he said, "Oh yes, please, I'd love to." He said, "I haven't eaten for 3 days." He says, "The little money I fed my children with. I'd rather they ate, and I couldn't do it myself." And I hadn't even thought about that, so I'm even more conscious about that now.
Now you are.
Yes.
I mean, I myself also, I've been to several countries where it's the same situation, and I'm always getting requests of people that their children are eating one time in a day.
Yes.
So it's not enough for the children.
No.
And the parents are not eating at all.
That's it.
And I mean, you've seen that firsthand.
Yes.
And I think you take some other English people go with you, don't they, sometimes?
Yes,
so
yeah. Well, my wife comes, my son, his partner and baby are coming for the first time, so we're taking an 18-month-old with us.
Okay.
We're going in January. And friends who we met, they just happened to, they were guests at our hotel. They came and stayed for a week, and we were talking, and they liked it. They came again the next year, and they turned around and said, "We'd like to come to Gambia with you next year." And they've been coming every year for the last 6 or 7 years now, as well. So they're into it, and they sponsor children and help out. They take over charity goods to help out the families, etc.
Yeah, I mean, you say when they go to the mosque and you stay at home or do what you do while they go to the mosque. Have you ever been inside a mosque?
Not inside. I've been outside and looked in.
And,
yes.
What do you feel when they go off? I mean, does it make you feel that, oh well, they're doing something that's different from what I understand, or is it just normal to you? I mean,
it's normal to me. As I say, when I've been there for Tabaski, which is one of their big festivals throughout the year, the Festival of the Slaughter of the Goat. Because they're so big, they're normally held in a massive, great big playing field or something, a big open air ceremony. And we're always invited to those to go and stand at the side and whatever and observe all the ceremony. They invite us, whatever. And I know I've never been there for Christmas or Easter and things, but I know that they, with their Christian friends, will celebrate the Christian festivals with them, and vice versa.
So in Gambia, although did you say 80%?
90% Muslim.
90% Muslim. So it's a Muslim country. So
definitely.
But they have the small minority of Christians, but you see them integrating together.
Very much. Yes. Yeah. There's no. They could live next door to each other, and
there's no issues.
No issues whatsoever.
And then we come back to the UK. And then there's issues between Muslims.
Yes.
There's issues between Muslims and non-Muslims.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that you work with the Hindu Society.
I do, yes.
You work with Rotary. You work with Muslims. You help Muslims, but yet you're not any of those faiths.
No, we're all the same. Just respect each other. That's all we need to do. Respect each other.
Tolerance of each other.
Tolerance.
As well.
There's just there's different cultures. There's different religions, but if I cut myself, I'm still the same blood inside me as you've got inside you.
Yeah, we're all the same. We're made from the same, and we've got one creator.
Yeah.
But I think through media, you see a lot of negative things, and people get confused, and I think at a young age they get confused, and then it stays with them. And I think that because obviously with my children and they're talking to the friends don't have any concept of it. But
children don't.
But you're taking your grandchildren with you.
Yes.
Is showing them a new way of life, and so hopefully, as they're growing older, they will then respect that and follow on. I think what you're doing.
I think every child between the age of, I would say, 13 and 16, something like that, should go to a third world country and discover what it's like. When I've been in Gambia, I knew of one family who had a 16-year-old boy, and it was their second year there. And we just met with them and talking, and they said their son had changed so much. Before he went to Gambia the first time, I want games machine, I want television, I want phone, I want this, that. The second year he goes back and he says, I don't need that. What do I need all that for? These people have nothing. They're the happiest and friendliest people you could wish to meet.
Yes.
That is what gets you more than anything else.
Because they've got the faith, and as Muslims, you know, we have to put our lives in. You know, we believe that our Allah gave us our path, gave us our destiny, and we follow that destiny. And if we're hungry or if we're full, we still have that faith that gives us that you know, that strength.
There's
that
a
inner
very
strength.
strong faith, you know, in Gambia when something goes wrong, you know, or they're having problems. You know, they always say God will provide, and
Yeah, because
you know, I'm always getting blessed. You know, sort of God will look after you. You know, thank you for what you've done. You know, you'll be rewarded. And I'm not here for rewards or anything like that. You know, it's, you know, as long as
but for
I
them,
can help in a little way.
for them, because for them, obviously their life is in Allah's hands. So obviously they're following their footsteps every day and just hoping that Allah will open a door for them. And for them, you're the door that's opened, because obviously you can now come and tell people about the situation that might not ever get the chance to go there.
No.
But they trust you, and they can see how it's touched you, and you can touch those people without them actually going there and seeing for themselves. Because I mean, I've not been.
No.
Inshallah, you know, I'd love to go and visit. But listening from you, listening that how the Muslims and how they go to the mosque and they pray and they all support each other and they have very little, and yet they still have that faith inside them that, you know, Allah's there providing for them.
Yes.
And for you to say that as well, it's quite touching for me as a Muslim, that, you know, it's very important. You know, it's
even, you know, the teenage boys and whatever who, I won't say are rebellious, but are typical teenage boys. You know, they're growing up and they're seeing sort of worldwide television and thinking, what's happening? You know, you think, you know, like the boys in the UK would never go to church, but every week, all those boys who you think, they still go.
Yeah.
They still go. They have their faith, and I'm left on my own, and they all go off, and you know, I leave them for their half an hour or so, and it's very humbling.
Because you can see that, you know, even though they haven't got the TVs and they haven't got the phones and they haven't got the games.
No.
But they still believe in Allah,
yes.
and they still go to the masjid, and they go on Friday and they go for all the salahs and they go and read the salahs, and say thank you for what they have.
Yes, yeah.
And for us, you know, we have so much, but we don't respect it.
I have to keep an eye on my time, because, you know, when we're out doing something, comes to near 2 o'clock, and they all have to go disappear. They go round the back to do their prayers and everything. You know, wherever we are, you know, doing something, you know, most of the time they'll stop. They'll go and they'll do their prayers round about the 2 o'clock time every day. You could be in the middle of something and they suddenly realise what the time is, and they'll go running off and, oh, right, okay.
So obviously, you know, they're showing you their religion, they're showing you how they live, and they're showing you that faith has a very important role in their life.
It does, yes.
And it's so humbling that, you know, people that have so little, yet they're the ones who remember Allah the most.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And I think the more we get in this dunya, in this world, it takes us away from remembering our Allah, remembering our roots, remembering our religion, giving our life in the hands of Allah, saying that we will follow Allah blindly. You know, it's the path that Allah's chosen for us. Yeah. And all these tests are here to make us better human beings, which is obviously, you know, they are good human beings, and that's why they've been, you know, impacted on your life.
Yes, yeah.
If you'd gone and they weren't so humble, maybe you would never have done any of this.
No, I don't know. No.
You know, but you saw them. You saw how humble they were. You saw that it's not. They don't want. They don't want toys. They don't want, you know, things that
nothing materialistic.
Worldly. Yeah,
no.
They didn't want worldly items, but they just want education. They just want to eat. And they want to go and pray.
Yes, yeah.
You know, it's a very simple life.
I've seen good things and I've seen bad things. I've seen, you know, it makes you think, oh, the world is a cruel place. You see, you know, sort of these poor little children. And I've seen death, and my friends have, you know, had children and, you know, they've died. And, you know, we as a European country, you know, we're so sorry for them, and we're, you know, sort of want to grieve with them and everything. But they just say it's God's will.
Yeah.
You know, that
Allah
is what
gives
God
them
wants.
the strength to carry on.
Yeah, they do. Yes, and you know, we could be round the back weeping, and you know, I know they do weep, but they still it's part of their culture, their life, their religion. They will carry on.
It makes them the person that they are, and it gives them the strength to carry on.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's Allah's will. Definitely, it's Allah's will.
Obviously, I've seen the bad.
Obviously, people, it's affected when you lose somebody that you love.
Yes.
But as Muslims, we are taught that it's Allah's will, and we should carry on.
Yes.
And leave it to Allah. Just give everything to Allah and walk with Allah.
Yeah.
So you've seen that, and it's impacted on your life.
Yes. Yeah.
I've
been through the 7 days, the 40 days, and sort of respected everything that way. And I'm learning more and more every time I go as well.
It's a learning curve for you and for them.
Oh yes, yeah.
And who knows what's held for you in the future? But obviously at the end of the day, there's only one God. Muslims, we say it's Allah. And as long as we're good human beings and we help each other, support each other, I'm sure Allah will show us the right way.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm really privileged to be able to sit with you and talk about this wonderful work. I can't emphasize more that how you're covering so many aspects of charity work that Muslims are taught at a young age to do, and you might not have been taught that while you were growing up, but you're doing it. Like the education, it's Iqra, like giving water. It's such a blessing to give a well for somebody for water. You're giving them food, you're giving them rice, so you're giving them something to keep alive, so you're saving their lives. So you're following the basics of being a Muslim without being a Muslim. So Allah's guiding you, in the right way. And with you going over there, and I'm happy that you're going over soon. Like you're counting the days down, so hopefully you'll be there soon and you'll be able to see your family again. But when you're out there and you're walking out with them, do they, when they introduce you to people, how did they introduce you? Do they introduce you as just Gary, or is it more like this is like a family member, or how do you feel?
Well, it depends on who I'm with. Sometimes I say this is my dad.
Okay.
And they introduce me to the elders. This is my friend, my best friend. This is my good friend. This is my uncle. They introduce me all different ways. So
it's always with respect, though.
Oh yes.
It's not like hi, it's just Gary that's.
No, and I can be sitting in somebody's compound. They live in compounds, and you're sitting there outside, and somebody will come walking through, and they'll make their way to you, shake your hand. They'll go around the corner, do their bit of shopping, come back, and they'll come over and shake your hand again. For you forever, shaking hands, and it's just a sign of respect.
Respect and love. That they're happy that you've gone to them, and they're happy that the work that you're doing. And without you, a lot of them might not have survived, and not be flourishing now. I mean, you said that you've been taking a picture of the little girl, and she's got no family, and you're there taking pictures of her every year.
Yes.
To give to her as a present.
Yes.
Which I know when you give her that present how much it's going to mean to her.
Well, hopefully it'll, something,
it's her life.
Remember, it is her life.
It's her life, and somebody has took their time and effort to record her life for her without even her knowing.
That's right, exactly, yes, yeah.
And then when you're going to give her that gift, it's going to bring back all the memories and bring you closer as well, because that's what a dad would do. That's what a granddad would do.
Yes, yeah.
What you've done is it's not. A stranger wouldn't be bothered about taking a picture every year and saving it. Why would you?
No, that's right.
We take pictures everywhere, don't we?
Oh yes, yeah,
and we just delete them. But you're keeping that record, and you've physically, mentally thought that I'm going to give her this present when she's 16, so she can see her life.
I've been thinking it for the last 13, 14 years. I've been thinking, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm preparing for it.
Yeah.
Sort of a couple of times when I've gone for a shorter period and I've running out of time, I've always had to make the effort
to go
and visit her at the orphanage and take her photograph. It's a routine that I just have to do.
So it's like it's a gift to her, but you've planned it for so many years to do it, and a lot of us here, because we're working. We're busy picking the kids up, dropping them off. I mean, life's busy here in the UK.
Yes.
But we're all engrossed in the internet, the mobile phone, watching our TV, watching our programme. And parents these days are not keeping a record of their own children.
No.
I'm not planning on, when my child is 16, I'm going to give them this present. But you're no blood to her, no nothing.
No.
But yet you've kept a record from 3 weeks. You know what's happened to her, where she's at, and you've consciously made a decision that you want to make her happy. Well, she will be happy because somebody's actually thought about her for 16 years.
Yeah.
You know, it'd make anyone happy.
Yeah. The directors of the orphanage always welcome me when I go. They recognise me. You know, only going there once a year. They still sort of open their doors to me and let me in. Normally, when the visiting times are certain times during the week, I can phone up and they'll say, "Gary, you're welcome at any time," which is nice, and they'll accept me in and they'll take me to the houses and do it.
So, I mean, the reason that I keep going over, you know, obviously you're not a Muslim and you're doing all this work, and it's amazing what you're doing, and there's no words to describe what you're doing, because it's amazing. You're taking time out of your luxury, your life, your business, because obviously at the moment you've got your hotel and it's your business, so you're taking time out of your business, away from your family, because they don't always go with you. You're taking your life, you put it on hold just to go and visit this family that you've got.
Yeah. And with the fundraising through the year as well, I go to community events. I do a Teddy Tombola, so I'm collecting Teddy's soft toys, etc. all the time, making sure they're decent quality. Then I'll put them all in cellophane bags and tie ribbon bows on them.
Which all takes time.
All the time, and then I'm going out on a Saturday or a Sunday when available to actually do the tombola, to try and raise the money to enable me to carry my work on. So it's throughout the year when I'm doing things. I said this year has been disastrous due to bad weather. Most of the events I should have attended were cancelled. So I haven't managed to raise very much this year, but what little I have, I will put to the best use I can. I just wish I could do more.
Which we know, and we can see that that's what you will do. And I've seen all the work that you've done. I've seen all your brochures that you've brought with all the pictures of all the children from when you first started to today.
Yeah, I've kept an album for every year that I've been there.
Yeah, and you're very proud of your album, and so you should be, because it's your life, and it's showing what you've done in your life and how your life has actually impacted on other people's lives. There's a lot of us out here that are not impacting anyone's life, and we're just barely carrying on our daily routines, managing to take our children to school, going to work, having our tea and going to bed. Some of us are not practicing our religion. We're not praying as much as we should be doing because we're busy running around dunya, around the world. So what I feel is that you're taking time out of your life, which you don't need to take out, but you're taking time out, and you're helping someone to change their life. And it's a Muslim community, it's a Muslim country, and yet you're very much tied with that country, and it's a part of you.
It is, yes, yeah. It's my second home, or my first home, as I would hope, but it is my second home, and but we're all one family. I'm grateful for all these telephone people now. We can get free phone calls because every day we're conversing near enough with various members of my family over there. So it's just so nice for you, when you say that, when you say my family, I'm conversing with my family. It sounds so nice that you've got that bond with them, and they've got that bond with you. It's just such a nice feeling, and I know that you're very proud of them. Yes. Well, the original boy that we sponsored, Amadou, he's just graduated. So they're all coming up now, they're all getting older. All getting older and moving on, and so we're having to go back to the beginning and start again.
Yeah, but it's just it's wonderful knowing that they've graduated, and all the following life that they will lead. They'll be grateful for that help in graduating and hopefully getting a job and hopefully being able to get married and have children. So it's not like you've just helped a child just to go to school. You've changed their life, because he has gone and graduated.
Yes, yeah.
And he's sort of your symbol, really, isn't he?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
He's sort of a proof of what you're doing is worthwhile.
He's about a foot taller than me as well, by the way. He's,
okay.
I look up to him now.
Well, I mean, when he sees you, what does he feel? I mean,
just big hugs, and I think he's just grateful for what we've done for him. And obviously the family, the mother who made the blouse originally, we go and see her every year in the market still. We'll still buy stuff off her. She still gives us presents which we don't want. They need it. But, we still, the contacts are still there from day one.
That's also, you just touched on that they still give you presents that you don't want because they can't afford it.
They'll give me bracelets, they'll give me necklaces, they'll give me shirts.
Yeah.
And I tell them off. I say I don't want them. A thank you is all I want. That's all I want. But
they've got so little, but they still want to try and give you something back. Just want to feel that they can also give you something back.
Yeah.
I mean, it must make them feel proud when they can give you something because they're in that position to be able to give you something back, even though they've not got much themselves. Not
got 2 pennies to rub together, or two Delassie is over there.
Okay. But if you walk the streets in the UK and somebody comes and asks you for money, a lot of the times they just walk past. They don't even stop. No. I mean, you can go on the internet. You can see so many things, and you can see somebody that could be freezing to death on the floor, and nobody will stop because they're busy commuting to work, going to school, going to college, and they're not bothered.
No.
But and that's in our country where it's easy to give. You could see somebody and say here, and give to them, and it's done and dusted. You've given your charity, but you've took it one step further, and that you're booking your tickets, you're going over there, you're spending time with them, quality time, which is giving them empowerment that somebody actually wants to spend time with them. Because if somebody from there came to stay with you, you'd feel so proud that they wanted to stay with you, and I'm sure that they're very proud that you want to stay with them.
Yes.
And it's very empowering again that you're not a Muslim, you've not been educated as a Muslim, yet you're doing the work what a true Muslim would be doing.
We're all the same, as I keep saying.
And I'm just emphasising it because I know the people out there will be wondering that, how you've got, they'll be thinking on, how strange it is because, there is a lot of negativity out there.
Well, yes.
And to find somebody that's putting that negativity to one side and carrying on and saying, I don't care, I know it's all wrong. Muslims aren't like this. Muslims are good people. I live with Muslims, I go and see them, I see it as my home. These Muslims are doing something that's right because they're showing you true Islam. They're showing you that Islam is compassionate. Islam is following Allah's will, following our Prophet ﷺ, following the Al-Ibad, So they're showing you that. Even if they're going through losing a child, they still show you how courageous they are because they've got their faith, they've got Islam. You're giving them charity, they're grateful to you because it's our Islam, it's they're giving you blessings back because what more better thing to give to somebody than to give them blessings for the goodness that they've given. I mean, you don't gain anything from this world, but in our next life, which we're all going to, that's when this will come in handy to you, and you'll turn around and say, thank you to them, for giving you those blessings. So it works both ways. You're helping them here in the dunya, you're supporting them, and you're making their lives important. You're making them feel important. And I just, I'm really grateful for the work that you do, and I think that you're doing a great job. You need to carry it on. And you need to tell more people about it, and the more people that know about it, the better, because it's us Muslims out there that are watching this show, myself also, we should practically be doing it practicingly and giving charity and supporting, but not just giving charity as in here's £10 or here's £1. Actually go and see where that money's going and go and see the life and see the impact, because you're following their lives all the way through.
I have a couple of church groups who give me a little bit of money every year, women's church groups, because they know that every penny that they give me I take and goes to the source. Well, they know that if they gave me £1, probably about £1.50 gets to the source because the rest of it coming out of my pocket. But they know if they give to me, it's all going there. It's not being taken up in any administration or anything else like that. We pay our own way. We do everything. So I just wish I could do more. That's all. I always want to do more, and
but you are doing so much. I mean, you're helping with education, you're helping with food, you're helping with water, you know, and you're helping children that could have been just left on the roadside, and you're helping them. Also, the boys, they like playing football, is that right?
Oh, they love football.
Because
yes,
I know you're always requesting for football shirts.
Stuff, yeah. I'm looking for football shirts, football boots, anything football related. I'm always looking for.
So is that their thing? Is that how they rest and relax?
Yes, yeah. Boys from 2 years to, you know, sort of 202 years old. They live for their football. They really do. And the girls are getting more and more into it as well nowadays. So yeah, that's very important to them.
It must have when you first went over, it must have seemed a bit strange how the women are more in the house and doing all the hard work in the house, and the men are doing whatever they're doing, and how it's, because in the UK it's not like that at all. It's you know, you do everything together.
Work together, yes.
You know, and it's not seen as just, you know, this job is just for the women. It's you know, you do it together.
Yes. Yeah.
You go shopping and you go shopping together, and many things. But when you went there and you saw women sat there doing all this hard work and cooking and preparing, and what did you feel?
Why are the men so lazy?
Okay.
Literally, yeah, the women sort of from first thing in the morning till last thing at night, they're looking after the children, they're preparing the food, they're cooking the food, they're doing the cleaning, they're going out to work, they're going to sell some, you know, doing work in the gardens. Some of them are going out to sell the stuff in the market to try and raise a little bit more money for them to buy some fish or something. Some families will only eat meat once a year at Tabaski, and they manage to save up all year for a sheep or a goat. They might be lucky to have fish once a week, but 9 times out of 10 it's just the vegetables they grow with the rice. And that's it. Yeah. So yeah, and the men are sitting on the corner of the, you know, the compounds and just sitting there talking, or going out and visiting friends and talking, drinking green tea, and that's it. But you get to learn, you know, it's a completely different culture. You know, this is why we try and help the girls with their education, because they're just expected to do it. So we try and get as many girls into school as we can now as well.
Did you, you know, when you said that you went into the village and you found out that you were the first white person to actually
into Janikunda, yes,
you know, to actually live there for a few days, did you, whilst you've been in you know, Gambia, have you ever had any racial issues? Has anyone treated you in a way that would upset you because you're not the same as them?
No, never.
So because obviously we get quite a lot over here.
Yes.
When blacks come over here, or any others.
Yeah, there is nothing racial whatsoever over there. Friendliest place I've ever been to in this world. It really is. Gambia is, yeah.
So you promote Gambia?
Oh, yes, I'd say, yeah, everybody go over to Gambia. You know, apart from having a wonderful time and the warmth, etc., it's they're just lovely, wonderful people, and see how, you know, they really live.
So how many grandchildren do you think you have over there?
There must be hundreds. Not mine personally, but you know, as part of my family. I've just, you know, I go into a compound and I won't take any sweets. I've learnt now I don't take sweets because they have teeth problems and they can't afford dentists, etc. Yeah. I take balloons now.
Okay.
I take bundles and bundles of balloons, and I'll give them. And you know, when I go to Janikunda, you know, sort of there's 600 people in the village and 300 of them are children, probably 200 under the age of 10 or whatever, and they've all got balloons and they're all running around with their balloons, and it pops, they can run out and give them another one. But balloons are far better to give them, and bubbles, they love bubbles. Just little simple things in life. Where could you go in England and give somebody child a balloon, and they'd be eternally grateful for it? You think you'd given them the earth, you know, just a simple balloon or a little pack of bubbles or whatever.
So it brings you back to earth, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
I mean, I know when you sent the pencils as well, you got loads of pencils, didn't you?
I did. I was lucky enough to have a firm up in the Lake District. I can't advertise, but they're pencils that are not good enough to sell. They donate them through Rotary to send abroad to third world countries. And 2 years ago I had 40,000 pencils from them, about 24 boxes, and I took them round to various schools and give the schools, so that would keep them in pencils for a year. And I've just been given another lot of, they've just arrived over there now in the Gambia, so when I get back to Gambia in January, they will, I'll distribute them out to all the schools there.
Okay, and I mean a pencil, we're in our house and we can't find a pen, can't find a pencil, we're forever buying them.
Yeah.
But how
They
does
can't
a
afford
pencil,
to buy them.
I mean, how does just giving them a pencil, how does that affect them? Do you know, you've just said like you give them a balloon and they're ecstatic. So when you give them pencils so they can study, how, you know, are they grateful?
Oh, totally grateful. And you know, when I first started going over and only took a few bits of stationery over, if I took a pencil and I gave a child a pencil, they would break it in half and give their brother or sister the other half a pencil, so they could also do their schoolwork as well. It's just unbelievable. Shoes, I take over shoes, children's shoes, because I've seen where a family of 4 or 5 children will only perhaps have one pair of shoes between them, and when they do special events they have to share them amongst the thing. So, you know, the youngest child will be wearing a shoe that's sort of flipping and flopping, and the oldest child will be tightly squeezed into a shoe. So silly little things that we don't even think about. We think of nothing to...
I mean, our children, they might have 5 or 6 pairs of shoes, and they're still looking to buy more.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and I think it's right. I think children should go to third world countries and see devastation, just to bring back home.
Yeah.
And I think it affects them morally as well. As they're getting older, they will respect other people more, because obviously they've seen it, and it's not like just seen on TV, because I think on TV and media a lot of things are sugar-coated, or
they'll only show you negativity.
Yeah, it's either sugar-coated and it's like they'll just mention it a little bit.
Yeah. Good news doesn't make good,
no.
Happy news doesn't make good news for them. Bad news makes news
they
for
just
them.
want to see devastation all the time. And what would you say, as a non-Muslim, going to a Muslim country, how would you sum up Muslims? What would you say what would you say that a Muslim is, and how do you feel towards Muslims?
Muslims have a great deal of discipline and respect. They, as I keep saying, they're no different to me or the boy next door or the lady down the street. We're all the same, but I do have respect for them, because they, as I say, they do have discipline in their life. They have a great deal of respect. You know, the youngest child will always be the worst off. If there was 2 children playing, a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old were playing, and the 7-year-old said to the 6-year-old, go over there and get me a cup of water or something, that 6-year-old would go and do it with no questions. Because it's respect for his elder, even though there's only a year in it and they're still children.
Yeah.
You know, if an 18-year-old boy said to a 12-year-old boy, go to my room and get me my shoes, that 12-year-old boy would just get up, trot away and go and get them. So
in our houses,
so much respect.
Would that happen?
Oh, so they'll tell you where to go.
Yeah. So obviously, you know, you can see the respect, and that respect comes back from the religion.
Yes, yeah.
When you see all these bad things on TV, and and you said that they call you to apologise.
Yes.
But seeing all these bad, negative things about Muslims, does it ever impact on you? Does it ever make you believe that Muslims are that way, or do you say, no, I know what Muslims are?
I've seen true Muslims. These people who are causing the atrocities, they can't be Muslims.
They can't be Muslims.
They cannot be Muslims. They're using the name of Islam and whatever to cover themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say again, I mean, I just want people out there to know that there's people like you out there that are doing this work, that are going out, spending their own money, their time, their effort from their biological family for their new family, you know.
Yes.
Because you can see that they need it, and the ones that are back at home might not need it as much. And you're prioritising the differences. Now, I just want to emphasise that, you know, we've come to the end of the show, so I'd like to say thank you.
That's all right.
For coming. If anyone's interested, contact Hidayah TV, we can give you more information. But people out there, please, the Ummah, look, there's people out there that are not Muslim that are doing what Muslims should be doing. We as Muslims should be showing the true Islam, and I'm sure out there you are all doing that, but I just want to emphasize that, look, you know, mashallah, brother here, he's going out there out of his way to help Muslim children, but basically I want to emphasize on that, and I'd like to say thank you very much for watching today. I hope this has touched you as it's touched me, and inshallah you'll be seeing me soon. So I'd like to say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.